this is what we call a massive magnetite. So if you put a magnet on this, it will stick. And what we do is that we take rocks like this from the ground. So if you from the video that you see just now, we do blasting. We have to blast them, and then we haul them to a plant where we crush them into small sizes. After that, we grind them into fine powder. So our product is the fine powder resulting from these stones. But of course, the process is not as simple because we have to remove all the impurities inside and resulting in a high-grade iron ore concentrate. In fact, the keyword today is high-grade magnetite concentrate. That's the most important point we want you to take home today. Can we move to the next slide, please? This slide, ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at our major milestones in financial year 2016. So basically in the middle of financial year 2016, we obtained the rights to mine in Bukit Besi. This area has been a historical mining area where the Japanese and the Americans have been mining the top level oxide deposits here for a long time. They have exited the country back in 1960s. So after that, there wasn't much activities in there until we come in. So what happened is we are blessed to get this place because there had been a lot of outcrops. There had been historical reports that we can utilize so that we can have a jump start to our job resource drilling, and also to our processing, our mining, and also the construction of plants. So that helped us to achieve something that is quite rare in the industry, which is, if you look at the main red dots, from year 2016 to 2018, within actually 1.5 years, we have completed our first maiden job resource of 5.4 million ton of magnetite deposit. And then we have constructed our processing plant within the first 1 year. That actually gives us a bit of product and to go to market. After that, we keep optimizing and expanding the plant well into year 2018. That's financial year 2018. And that go into full swing, reaching financial year 2019. At the same time, we have updated our resource, which increased from 5.4 million ton to 6.19 million ton. Please bear in mind that this update actually includes, or it actually has deducted the depletion that we have mined from the ground. That means 5.4 minus what we have mined plus new resource becomes 6.19 million ton. Moving on to financial year 2020, we got listed in the Singapore Exchange in 27 March 2019. At the same financial year, we announced a update on the resource, again factoring in all the depletion that we have mined out from the mine. The new resource came up to be 7.818 million ton. So in that financial year, we have recorded a $6.5 million NPAT, and dividend distributed is 2.6 million Sing dollar. For the current financial year, in the first half of current financial year, we have recorded $7.8 million of NPAT. That is a 20% increase compared to the full year of last year. So that means where that comes from is mainly coming from the increase of production. So you see the last line on the right-hand side is rights. This half year, the sales volume from this half year is actually representing 78% of the entire last financial year. We're going to move on to the next slide. It's a brief introduction of the key person who is managing the company. So we have our Datuk Sri Ivan Chi. He's a very well respected and very effective engineer and businessman in Malaysia. Man Fei, that's me. So I'm basically in charge of the day-to-day operations of the mine. And Fion Chua, Fion is our financial controller. This is a very, very important slide. So there are a few points I want you to bring home with this slide. Number one is that we are really close to our steel mill. We are also very close to the ports where we export our product to foreign countries like China. So the video you saw just now were all taken in the red dot. That's where Bukit Besi is. So it's on the east coast of Peninsular Malaysia. We are only, you see where the black color airplane is? That is a Kuala Terengganu airport. So for those of you who have been to Redang, the Redang Island for vacation, so that's the airport where you land. So from that airport, you drive about 1 hour. It will take you to our mine gate. Yep, just about 1 hour, including the dirt road, because our mine site is only 2 kilometers away from a seal road. So our truck just drive 2 kilometers from the mine gate through a dirt road, and then we will go to a seal road in 2 kilometers. And from there, it takes us about 86 kilometers to go to the first ship. You can see a ship on the shore, right? So one on the north, one on the south. The one on the north, that's where the Kemaman port is. We are only 86 kilometers away from there, and that ship can lead us to China. And the other two yellow dots that you see, that's local steel mills. So basically, on this is a very good proximity when it comes to iron ore transport, road transport. We are 86 kilometers away from the nearest steel mill, and the next further steel mill is only 128 kilometers away, which is in terms of iron ore transport, that is very, very close. Yeah, we can go to the next slide, please. This is also a very important slide. This gives you an overview, more of a summary of what we have drilled out in our site. So the key point of this slide is that number one, the resource is growing, and the average Fe content is also growing year on year. So if you look at the map, there's like the satellite image on the left-hand side, you see two lots there. The first lot on the north is where the mining lot is. The second lot is the one on the south, that's where the processing plant is. So all the exploration, all the drilling efforts has been focused on the three rectangular boxes on the lot on the north. So you can see west, valley, and east. So this is where the magnetite, the outcrop of the magnetite mineralization occurs, and that's where we start to drill, and that's where we started mining. So in terms of geology, east and west is very is of the same genetic, of the same generation, whereas east is of a slightly separate kind of genetic, but they all go to the same plant for processing. So if you look at the table on the right hand side, it basically divides the three area, west, valley, and east, and also the year by which we managed to get the job quantity, job resource. So one point to note is that out of all the drilling, the areas that we have put drill holes into the ground, is as of now, it is less than 5% of the total concession area. The total concession area is 1,200 acres, and where we have drilled is less than 5% of that. So we are basically focused on where the outcrop is and where the strongest and easiest meat is. So we start from our first resource was dated 7th of August 2018. We have a total resource of 5.4 million tons, and the average grade was 41.7. 1 year on, after our mining activities, after including all the depletion and the new resource that is drilled out, so we increased that number from 5.4 million ton to 6.19 million ton, and the average grade of the ore actually increased to 42.3%. And 1 year later, with even greater depletion, we have increased that to 6.18 million ton of resource, and the grade has again increased to 43.25%. So what it means to us is that we have adopted a very economical and cost-conscious drilling method, because when we take control of this site, it is already opened up by the Japanese back in the early 1900s. and also by Amcor, the American company, in the early 1950s. What happened is they took the easy bit, and now we are doing the difficult parts. But of course, at that time the iron ore prices was very low. Now the iron ore prices is way higher, so we are making a healthy profit. But what's important is that we are adopting this very economical drilling method, which we keep mining, and at the same time, when we expose when we go down deeper and deeper, when we lower the mine floor to a deeper level, then we start drilling again. So every year we'll see some updates of the figure, which we believe it will be very healthy. Yeah, that will bring us to the next slide. What you're looking at here is the first level processing plant. This is a crushing plant. So what this plant do is that after we have mined the raw material, which is the iron ore, the 43% iron containing iron ore, after we have mined that and we have done the grade control, what we do is we send all the ore into this plant, and the job of this plant is to reduce them in size from as big as a car, to reduce them to minus 10 millimeter, smaller than 10 millimeter. So the strength of our company is that all these plants is running on a 24-hour shift and all weather. It doesn't matter whether monsoon is here or whether it's rain, and there's no flood in this area because we're on top of a mountain. And what you see here, all this plant, we are basically is designed and built in-house. It doesn't, well, it goes to show that we have the capability to build it. But what's more important here is that it shows that if we have a great understanding of what needs to be done to process this kind of iron ore. Because when you look at this kind of plant, it's very flexible. There are a lot of ways we can reconfigure the plant by means of flipping a valve here and there, flipping a flap here and there. So we are very flexible in terms of processing. That will come to, we'll explain that a little bit more about that later on. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yep. Yeah. Before we go into more technical detail, we will talk about financial results, and I'll bring Fion to the floor here. I'll pass the floor to Fion.
Hi everyone, I'm Fion, the FC of Fortress. This is the snapshot on certain important financial data and financial metrics for first half FY 2021 that we wish to highlight to you. We are glad to announce that we have achieved $20.1 million for the group revenue with 210,000 DMT sold. We have a robust GP of 15.1 million. Our GP margin is 75.3%, which was driven by a higher volume sold coupled with a low unit cost achieved. The group record net profit after tax for one half FY 2021 of 7.8 million with the margin of 39.1%. On the balance sheet, the net debt reductions of 4.4 million, which we have fully repaid the shareholders' loan. The group has invested $1.2 million on the capital assets. The left-hand side is the financial table, summarize our financial performance in terms of profitability. We are going to discuss on the first half FY 2021 result for revenue, EBITDA, and net profit after tax. On the right-hand side, the chart 1 shows our group's revenue. Our sales growth is positive. For first half FY 2021, we achieved year-on-year sales growth by 47% to $20 million. The first half sales represented approximately 78% from our previous full year sales, despite COVID-19 restriction in 1Q FY 2021. Positive sales growth mainly attributes to continued positive demand from domestic steel mill and export sales. Chart 2 is our first half EBITDA, which grew positively and increased by 77% to $12 million with EBITDA margin of 58%. The chart 3 shows that our first half net profit after tax growing even strongly by 117%, which exceed our previous full year by 1.3 million. The good margin is attributed to higher sales volume achieved, cost efficiency, coupled with disciplined cost management. In this slide, we are going to scope in detail on factors that assist in yielding robust GP margin. The first chart basically summarizes the sales volume and our realized selling price. We achieved higher revenue, mainly due to higher output sold, whereby volume had outperformed by 59% with 210,000 DMT sold in first year FY 2021. Higher volume partially cushioned by low average selling price, whereby we can see the price decrease from previous year US 103 per DMT to US 95 per DMT due to a slight lower Platts FE65 price in 1Q FY 2021. The second chart basically summarizes our production and cost performance. You can observe that our productivity has performed very well despite COVID-19 restriction in 1Q FY 2021. The last chart basically summarizes our GP and GP margin performance. We achieved robust GP margin in first half FY 2021 that is 75.3%. Our GP even increased 60.6% to US 15 million. This is our historical financial data for our analyst reference purpose. I leave it for your good reading. This slide shows that we have unutilized IPO proceeds of 4.9 million, which attributed by 2.9 million for the further development of Bukit Besi Mine and 2 million for the acquisition or JV of new mine. Okay, then I would like to pass back to our COO, Mr. Ng.
Thank you, Fion. Next slide, please. Yeah, I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think you have a lot of questions why we are recording such good figures in terms of production quantity and also in terms of profit, in terms of selling price. So there are a few questions. Before you ask questions, maybe I try to address some of those. So basically, as I said in the earlier on first slide, the number one keyword I want you to take home today is high-grade magnetite concentrate. So the iron ore price, the index price that we always talk about is usually we talk about Platts prices. Interestingly, that's published out of Singapore. So the Platts prices is an index of all the iron ore, most of the iron ore that is going into China. So basically, that means that whenever we talk about iron ore price, we talk about how much China is buying and how much money they're spending per ton. So then when you look at that, then if you look into Platts, you will see there's low grade, there's high grade, there is the standard 52, 62 grade. So if I go into detail, the lowest grade of index price you get is 58%. The higher one is 62% iron. And we are selling the highest grade of all, which is 65% grade iron concentrate. And our product is called magnetite iron concentrate. It's not hematite, it's not limonite, it's magnetite. So where does that lead us to in terms of having the advantage in the market is that some mills requires a lot of magnetite concentrate because of how they set up the mills. And that's why the amount of quantity that we can, I mean, the amount of the selling price that we could command over the last 1 year is not by accident. And the quantity that we managed to produce to increase by the last couple of 2 years is also not by accident, it's actually planned. So the way we design our processing plant is that they're modular, they are readily expandable. Uh, it's just parallel lines. And then, as I earlier on mentioned, we have a team of engineers who understand this kind of deposit very well. And then, when we design the plant, we can take care of different types of deposits. We can blend the hematite with manatite. We can blend a little bit of goethite and limonite into the processing plant. So it's up to us whether how we want to control the grade, because controlling the product grade is very important. Customer always want to buy consistent product from us, so that they feed very consistent product into the blast furnace. Blast furnace is this cartoon figure that you see in front of you on the left hand side. So that's an overly simplified version of a blast furnace. So what happens is our product will go into this guy, but before that they have to go through some other process like pelletizing uh, and sintering. I'm not going to go into detail into that today, but most importantly is that the customer will want to have very consistent product going into this bottle, so that the product that they want coming out from here, which goes into the iron ladle on the lower bottom left hand corner there. So that's the molten iron that will become very consistent in terms of quantity and quality. So our product is very well sought after in the local and also in the Chinese market industry, because they know that we have been able to produce consistently the same quality and same quantity of products, and we have been able to deliver. That's very important. Number two is that we can also um, customize to a certain degree the grade and the quantity of our product based on the requirement of the customer. So that's another advantage that we have, because we have an in-house engineers to design what we can do, what we cannot do with the plant. So that sort of explains the quantity that we managed, and also the selling price. Um, Next slide, please. All right. So Paul, I will hand the floor to you.